So I didn't think that I would find love when I joined the Army almost 13 years ago under Don't Ask, Don't Tell. But in November of 2012, on Veterans Day, no less, I am scared and excited, and then a little bit more scared on my way to get married in Washington, D.C. It was one of the few places where gay marriage was legal at the time. So my wife, Freddie, flew up from her training in Texas. I drove up from my unit in North Carolina. My very supportive parents also flew in, and then Freddie's best childhood friend just happened to live in Baltimore, so she drove down to meet us. And our home states of Texas and Mississippi, believe it or not, had no intentions of legalizing gay marriage at that time, so we took advantage of our proximity, and we also wanted to get it done before I deployed to Afghanistan that January. So I booked a minister online. I went to the DC courthouse and got our marriage certificate. And then I booked the DC War Memorial from 10 to 11 a.m. on that Saturday. And so at about 9:30, me, Freddie, my mom, my stepdad, we all come out of the Smithsonian Metro stop right into the middle of the National Mall. And I'm immediately like, oh my God. I'm like, there are so many people. I'm from a big city, but I'd never been to DC during a holiday. So there were so many people there. There were so many like little campaign hats, all the wreaths that people put up at the memorials, all tiny American flags everywhere, just littered around the National Mall. And I am silently and also not so silently freaking out. And Freddie can see this, and she squeezes my hand and she smiles. She says it's gonna be okay. And then her phone rings, and it's Simone, her friend, who's driving down from Baltimore. And Freddie's like, what? I don't know. I've never been to DC. I don't know where to park. Just park anywhere. I will pay for it. Just get here. And she hangs up, and her brow is all furrowed. And so then it's my turn to squeeze her hand and smile. And I'm like, she's got time. It's 30 minutes. So our walk from the metro stop to the memorial is about 15 minutes. And so we get there about 9:45. And again, I'm like, oh crap, there are so many people here. And there's people like riding around on those little DC bikes, and there's people walking around taking pictures, reading the stuff on the memorial, people just taking a break in the shade. And then there's a noticeable group of about 10 or so older white men, and they're from like a VFW, because they've got those little black triangle hats, and then like the really crisp white button downs, and the black slacks, and the big like orthopedic shoes. And my stepdad, he goes up to them and, like, well, what are y'all doing? And the seemingly the leader of the group is there. And, he's all like, well, we got this place at 11 for our ceremony. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So this group of people is going to be here to watch us, and they do not seem excited about that. And so Freddie again sees me, and another hand squeeze and another smile. And then at 10, right on time, the minister gets there. And so then I have to go up to her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but one of our 3 guests is not here right now because Simone has still not made it. And the minister is very understanding, and she makes small talk with my parents while Freddie is like furiously like dialing Simone's phone number over and over again. And Simone finally answers, and she's like, oh, I found a spot. And we were like, great. And she's like, okay, I'm like 15 minutes away. And I'm like, that's not great. And so by this time it's like 10:15. And it's the longest 15 minutes of my life. I think in history, I think it's the longest 15 minutes. And so while we're standing there, I'm just thinking about, it was less than 2 years before that Freddie and I met at language training in California. And I had joined the Army fully aware that I was gay and fully aware of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, but I just really needed to leave my home and find myself. And in that process, I found Freddie, and she loved me, and she allowed me to love her, and she felt like home as soon as I saw her. And I thought about when me and Freddie, and then our other gay Army friends, we got to celebrate Don't Ask, Don't Tell being repealed that previous fall. And then Freddie asked me to marry her a few months after that. And it was so natural and so obvious for me to say yes. And then another hand squeeze and a smile takes me out of that, because Simone has finally made it. So now it's 10:30 and we finally get started and we're on the memorial. It's like 3 or 4 feet off the ground. And, you know, we're standing there with the minister and I'm really trying to like focus, but I can still see this group of veterans like to the side of us and they're kind of glaring at us. They keep looking at their watches. And then Freddie squeezes my hands and she smiles. And then that's it. You know, I see her and I hear the minister. I don't remember all her words, but they were lovely words of love and dedication and patience and all that stuff. And then I say I do, Freddie says I do. And then there's, you know, more tears, kissing and all that stuff. And my mom and my stepdad and Simone are obviously there and they're clapping and they're very happy. And then on the other side of the memorial, not where the veterans are, there's a group of people who I hadn't even noticed and they were clapping for us and they were cheering. And it was so wonderful like to see this group of strangers, another group of strangers, not the veterans, but they were happy for us and they were cheering. And you know, we wrap up and we take our pictures and we send the minister on her way. And then the veterans, they get up and they do their thing, giving us barely enough time to get out of their way. And so it wasn't until the following summer, while I was in Afghanistan, that the Supreme Court, they struck down the Defense of Marriage Act. And so our marriage was finally legal and it was recognized, you know, more than 6 months after our ceremony. And then when I got back later that year, I was I was so happy to do the very mundane task of like putting Freddie's name on my my life insurance policy and like my emergency contact list. And you know, the last 10 years of our very our very rich life has been full of a lot of those mundane tasks like that, but also full of a very beautiful 7-year-old son who just turned 7 today, and a lot of adventure and love and a lot more hand squeezes and smiles. Thank you.